Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And this video is going to be about a pretty obscure band. And I'm sure at this point there's a lot of people, even collectors, that probably don't know much about him because the reissues, a couple that have been out over the last couple of years, are pretty hard to come by too. And there just wasn't that much chatter. I think Kissing Spell put out their record, may have been one of the first ones to put it out, and that's where I heard it, and I was pretty stunned. And they would have been a great band on Vertigo Records, but there's a number of bands that were almost on Vertigo or should have been on Vertigo. Necromandus comes to mind, but Charge would have been a great addition. I would have really liked to hear something really well recorded by them and complete as well, because there's not that much material altogether. So the band was together from 1972 to 1973, and they recorded this almost album and only printed up 99 copies. And so in the originals are insanely rare and were just passed out to clubs and friends and things like that. So that came out in 1973, and before that, they had a blues band, basically the same band, called Baby Bertha, in 1972, and there was originally 50 copies of that. Both the records didn't even have covers, but that's how ridiculously rare the originals of these are. Baby Bertha uh, definitely isn't near successful for me, um, although it does have some great moments, and it's interesting to find out that these two bands are basically the same band. So I'll put a link below to Baby Bertha so you can check that out as well. Some people might like it better, but the band was Pete Gibbons on drums, Dave Ellis on guitar and vocals, Ian McLaughlin on bass. So another trio, and I always like that. And they got a really dark vibe, and so one of the reasons why Vertigo didn't sign Necromandus because they felt like they already had kind of a doom band like Black Sabbath, a doom heavy band. And when I hear Necromandus, I don't really see that same kind of vibe as Black Sabbath. So I'm still perplexed as to why Vertigo never signed Necromandus. But Charge, I could see why they might see some competition maybe with Black Sabbath. But that said, Charge has definitely got their own thing. Dave Ellis's vocals actually remind me somewhat of Paul Rudolph in the Pink Fairies, and so his voice really goes a long way with me. But uh, I'll go through the tracks. I don't normally do that, but I'll do it this time because there's not that many. The opens with Glory Boy, which is really dark blues with a really cool arrangement, really cool riffs, lots of really good guitar overdubs, and he's definitely a good guitar player. They're all really good. It's a little rough because the recording's murky, not recorded as well as it could be, but their strengths really come through nonetheless. And then the second song is To My Friends, which is really slow and doomy, and it's just really memorable. But it definitely has a heavy doom vibe to it, and I wouldn't necessarily say that about a lot of heavy stuff, even some things Black Sabbath have done, but this one really feels like doom. And it starts off really slow and then goes into a fast part, and we all love that. Very common technique with a lot of these kind of bands. And then the third song, "Rock My Soul," is that's the motherlode. Killer riff, great guitar work. Kind of reminds me of the Pink Fairies. And that's one of the other things. This band is a little faster than a lot of the heavy bands from 72, 73. So I really appreciate that they have that side to them, although they got some slow, doomy stuff too. And then finishes up with a three-part song, "Child of Nations." The first part is "Soldiers," second part is "Battles," and the third part is "Child of Nations." And it really sums up everything this band has to offer because the first part is slow and moody and gets a little oblique. And then the second part, "Battles," is super heavy, and they're really good at it. Once again, I wish we had a full album by them that was recorded really well, because it would definitely be the mother lode. Then the third section, Child of Nations, has some heavy riffs and a proportion of space rock. So there's some really cool kind of space rock on this piece. Kind of reminds me of some stuff from UFO's second album, Flying, where it gets a little more spacey, and there's actually some cool sound effects and things like that. But there's tons of guitar mayhem on that, so they really loaded up the overdubs on that last song. Um, so Charge, I think they really deliver the goods. If you really like the heavy stuff like Flying Hat Band and Black Sabbath and some of these other bands, Incredible Hog that I've talked about, Charge is a good one, especially if you lean towards the doom side, or your classic British proto metal from the early 70s, particularly that period from like 1969 to 1973 when a lot of bands like this flourished. But check it out. As always, I'll put the link below, and you be the judge. But I think Charge is a humdinger, and I hope somebody I can turn on to this record. And I think you can get it out there now. In fact, I know you can. There's been more legitimate re-releases of it recently, so it can be had. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching my channel.